Yogi. Be very welcome to episode 3 of the Lights On podcast, where we discover, reflect, and unpack fundamental yoga teachings to apply in everyday life. My name is Kat, and I'm your host. I'm a certified yoga teacher that is passionate about practicing and teaching traditional yoga. So through this podcast, I hope to share this passion with you and show you how yoga is so much more than the popular yoga poses, the breathing exercises, and the meditation. Last episode, we discussed the 4 paths of yoga, and we also talked about how they suit our personalities differently and also the circumstances of our life and the stages of our development. So definitely check it out if you'd like to know more about this topic in particular. This week, we are going to talk about 3 things you learn in yoga poses that will change your life for the better. And they have absolutely nothing to do with the physicality of the practice. So as we discussed early in episode 1, the purpose of yoga goes beyond stress relief and is instead a lot more about easing suffering and helping us realize who we truly are. So in the same way, the purpose of the yoga poses, the Āsana, is not to tone the body, but to contribute to our development as human beings in all our dimensions, physically, but also energetically, emotionally, and mentally. So I wanted to define yoga poses a bit better because while they are, of course, a physical practice, their impact is profound and is also reflected in our minds. So when we hold a pose, we strengthen the body, we of course improve our flexibility, we improve our health, but we also learn other things. And these things will make life easier for us and also help us become a better person. And I could name here 100 things, but I decided to go with these 3 teachings because personally, these are the ones that have impacted me the most. They really continue to inspire me to become a better person, and they influence how I live my life and handle stress. So let's start and discuss 3 sacred yoga teachings that will change your life for the better. Number 1, relaxing under tension. During a traditional yoga class, we tend to hold in sometimes very uncomfortable positions for a few moments, at least 30 seconds to 1 minute. The point of holding still in these poses is to build resilience and teach you how you can relax under tension. And we learn to relax under tension by learning how to control our mind and placing our focus in the areas of the body we're using, consciously relaxing everything else. I'll give you an example here. If you are doing a forward bend, you want to focus on the back of your legs, your hamstrings, and that stretch, but you want to relax everything else, including your hands, your head, your shoulders, your back. This is a very conscious process that teaches us to accept what we can't control and to relax despite of it. And even for me just mentioning this small thing about this teaching, you can see that the replications of relaxing under tension in our daily lives is huge. Think about the numerous times you faced a challenge or you had to handle a difficult person at work. When you know how to relax under tension, you also learn how to deal with challenges and obstacles objectively. So you will probably understand that this will lead you to better outcomes with a minimal impact on your mental health. So next time, when you're told by your yoga teacher to hold for a minute in a plank, not the most comfortable of asana, know that more than strengthening your body, you're strengthening your mind, you're building endurance, you're building resilience, and you're learning how to relax under tension. Okay, now on to number 2, withdrawing the senses. So one thing I notice, at least in myself, is that the reason that I'm often tired and stressed is because I've been overstimulated. There's just too much of everything, too much noise, Too many things happening at the same time. And this is when the second teaching really comes in handy, and is the capacity to withdraw the senses and turn within. One of the things that I hold very close to my heart, and one thing that we need to keep in mind, is that the calm and peace we seek is already within. For me, and at least the way I see it, inner peace is very much a practice and the muscle that we develop also through yoga and also through yoga asana. So by withdrawing the senses, we learn to access this calm and peace whenever, wherever we are. As we hold in the asana, the yoga poses, our body is still. We breathe in, we breathe out slowly, so our mind quietens and we experience silence. We start listening to ourselves and we realize that our inner world is quiet and peaceful. There's a safe haven inside of us, and by withdrawing the senses in yoga classes, we're finally able to find it. We acquire the skill by closing our eyes during a yoga pose and listening to our body. So in the position that we are doing, we want to get out of our head and take our consciousness to the body. Our senses turn within and they go from the external world to our very own microcosmos. And the more we do this as we practice yoga and as we go from asana to asana, we also learn to apply this in our daily lives. By whenever we are feeling stressed, whenever we are feeling overwhelmed, we know how to take a moment to ourselves, close our eyes, turn within and experience the peace inside. Last but not least, we've got number 3, and this is all about how yoga poses teach you how to gain a better understanding of yourself. So I've always thought that I knew myself pretty well. Still, this is nothing compared to the deep understanding and insight into myself that I gain through the practice of yoga, and in particular the yoga poses. So again, when you hold still in an uncomfortable, painful position, you learn a lot about yourself. You learn about your limitations, you learn about your triggers, and you also learn about the chatter constantly going on in your head and the voices, especially the unhelpful ones, trying to get you to give up and relax. So this in itself is invaluable, because when you identify your limitations and you get clear on your triggers, you can start to implement boundaries and really revolutionize your mental health. It's very difficult for you to say no to things when you don't know your triggers, when you don't know yourself enough to understand what's right or wrong for you. And the asana will give you precious, precious insight into what is right and wrong for you. And it's only really by getting to know ourselves that we can start making better choices. Without this understanding, we're also a lot more subject to conditioning, and it gets really hard for us to really live authentically because, again, we don't know ourselves enough. So during your next yoga class, and as you hold still in the yoga poses, turn within and notice your thoughts and your body. What are they telling you? How does your body feel? Get acquainted with yourself and understand what feels right for you and what doesn't. That's your intuition, and that's also the process of you learning to listen to your intuition, recognize your intuition, and finally be able to be guided by your intuition. As your understanding of yourself grows, it'll be easier for you to make decisions and for you to uphold your boundaries and say no confidently, knowing that the choices you're making for yourself are absolutely the right ones and they are divinely guided. So what did you think about these 3 learnings? Anything that came up for you at all? So as a bit of a recap, we explored how yoga poses teach you to 1, relax under tension, 2, withdraw the senses and turn within, and 3, gain a deep and insightful understanding about yourself. My favorite thing about yoga is how deep and beautifully complex it is. Nothing is ever random, and everything we do in class has a reason and is put together to aid us on our path to self-realization, ultimately contributing to the easing of our suffering. So asana, the yoga poses, are not just great for the body, they are incredible learning opportunities and crucial to the systemized approach that yoga is to human development. I really hope that this episode today and these 3 learnings helps you see these sacred techniques, or rather this sacred discipline, the asana, with new eyes as a source of resilience, endurance, mindfulness, and self-understanding. To internalize and integrate what we've explored today, we'll finish today's episode with a guided meditation. Let's start. Sit with your legs crossed on your yoga mat or the floor. If sitting with your legs crossed is not possible for you, you can sit on the bed or the sofa with your feet on the floor. Regardless of the seating position that you choose, make sure to lengthen your spine and sit upright. You can visualize this thread passing through your back and coming out of the crown of your head. Pulling on this thread, you stretch your spine. Now close your eyes and gently shift your attention to your breath. Start by simply listening to it, becoming aware of it. Now take charge, inhaling in 3 and exhaling in 6. Inhaling in 3 and exhale in 6. Repeat, focusing completely on your breath. Notice how what surrounds you and the busyness of your day falls away. Continue inhaling in 3 and exhaling in 6. As you continue to breathe, a light comes on in the space between your eyebrows. Shift your attention here, and as your concentration grows, the light becomes more intense and shines bright in the space between your eyebrows. Keep your focus here for the rest of our guided meditation. And if you are distracted by a noise in the environment, a thought, or a sensation in the body, come back to the light shining bright in the space between your eyebrows as many times as you need. Continue in silence, meditating. Realize that meditation is not the absence of thought, but concentration on one thing at one time. Remain in silence for a few moments, concentrating. I will let you know when our time is over. We finish here our guided meditation. Thank you so much for tuning in for this episode. If you have any comments or questions, I'd love to hear from you. I'm on Instagram under yogaful.studio. And as a final takeaway from me this episode, remember that the calm and peace you seek is already within. Until next time, happy journey back home. Love and light. Bye.